Well, it's that time again to call out Channel 1. And why are we calling out Channel 1 today, you may be wondering? Well, let's get into the mass transit problems that we actually have today, and of course, some of the crime that is affecting all of us as usual. So the first issue that we need to get into is what happened with the Queens Boulevard line today. Now, what happened, you may be wondering, was a switch problem at Jackson Heights Roosevelt Avenue. So this problem began earlier today at right around 10 o'clock this morning. So what I don't understand is the Long Island Railroad should have been cross-honoring. You know, that's the problem. Manhattan-bound M and R trains were running express from Forest Hills to Jackson Heights Roosevelt. Manhattan-bound E and F trains may experience delays while they share the same track with rerouted trains. We're addressing a switch problem at Jackson Heights Roosevelt Avenue. So trust me, let's say if I was going to Manhattan from Long Island Jewish, I would have to beg the bus driver on the Q27 to let me ride for free. Because I have to show them what's going on with the phone, and I have to beg them, look, I need to get to Flushing Main Street. The Queens Boulevard line's having a problem. I can't deal with it. Because, you know, that would have not been fair. You know, really, I'm really annoyed with New York City Transit today. And I'm going to give Craig Cipriano a piece of my mind later this month. Because this is just not acceptable. You know, I'm sorry. The Long Island Railroad, especially because I'm going to address this with... Actually, no. I'm going to address this with Kathy Hochul. That's who I should address this to. The Long Island Railroad needs to know what happened here, because I'm sorry, but trains are running slower than normal. You know, at least you could have cross-honored at Jamaica, Kew Gardens, and Forest Hills today. But no, we're the Long Island Railroad. And they could have even cross-honored at Woodside. So trust me, they're going to get a piece of my mind later this month, because this is not fair. This is just completely not fair. Okay, so let's get into this, and we're going to watch a full report from Channel 7, because Channel 7 did a terrific job covering this last night. So, a train hit a debris in the tunnel, and of course, Channel 1 briefly brought this up for about 45 seconds last night on the newscast. So, here we go. It says that, yes, there was debris, but that's not really what happened. There was actually a fire. It's actually a fire. So, again, very good report by Channel 7 last night. So what I want to do right now is just make sure that we have the virtual audio cable for you. That way you can hear it. There we go. Now we're going to watch the video.
Everybody was nice. It took us 2 hours to get back to where we started.
Hundreds of passengers on a 7 train that got stuck in a tunnel under the East River say they made the most of the experience. Instead of chaos and panic, the passengers became fast friends. Eyewitness News reporter Lucy Yang has the story.
They came in contact with the third rail. That's the reason for the explosion. Everything's okay right now.
For 750 passengers on the number 7 train, Sunday's journey into Manhattan became a long ride to nowhere.
Story time, we're stuck on a train, right?
Shortly after 5 p.m., officials believe the train ran over a piece of metal on the tracks and came to a grinding halt in the tunnel halfway between Manhattan and Queens.
People were freaking out, right? At first. I mean, people were like running back and forth, trying to get off, going between cars.
Once officials confirmed no one was on the tracks, they made the decision to power up the third rail again and roll a rescue train into position. We're told all the passengers walked out safely, not one injury to report. There was a pregnant woman on board, and of course all New Yorkers are always in a hurry. While 2+ hours trapped in a tunnel can trigger intense anxiety, for others, it became a night to remember.
Look, that's Ben, that's my friend.
Fast friendships were made.
She make us calm.
These passengers asked if there were any comedians, dancers, or singers in the car.
Now is showtime.
In the end, Aisha led the sing-along, which then prompted Sophie to capture the moment on paper.
She drew me while I was sitting there.
She's the energy.
It was kind of fun, and we just like made friends.
The disabled train has now been removed. Service is restored. Monday morning rush hour should not be impacted. And some New Yorkers found there is a silver lining deep under the East River.
So that was an excellent report by Channel 7. And obviously, again, when I was at AHRC for my job training, you know, when I was working at my old job a year before I began at Long Island Jewish, we were actually trained to deal with an emergency on the subway because there was one morning where there was a derailment on the MR line at the Broadway station in Elmhurst, and we were told to calmly ask, you know, make sure you're okay first. If the train comes to a disastrous start, make sure your fellow passengers are okay. And they actually took us on the subway one day to show us where the emergency button was because we actually had to take a trip to Brooklyn for an education course. I'm not going to go into the reason why, but it was part of our job training, and our job coaches showed us where the emergency button was at the time. And obviously, I would have pushed it, and I would have said that we're just on a stuck train. Thankfully, nobody is injured, so we'll just wait it out. And, you know, that's what we all would have done yesterday. I mean, I would have been frantic to find a cell phone signal, but, you know, if that wasn't the case, then, you know, nothing you can do in that situation. You just gotta wait it out. Just gotta wait it out and hope the time is on your side. But it looked like the passengers were okay. They made the best out of it, but remember, we're the most impatient city in the country. You gotta realize that. And, you know, obviously, if I was at Vernon Boulevard yesterday, I would have found a way to get back to the E train at Court Square yesterday, or figured out if I could have gotten an eastbound train to Woodside and then take the railroad back to where I needed to be, but that's besides the point. The point is, Channel 1 completely missed out on covering a big story, and, you know, that's the same old Channel 1 as usual. There's a lot of other stories that they didn't cover. In fact, let's get into some right now, believe it or not. What we're going to do is we're going to focus borough by borough. Let's focus on the news from Queens first, then we're going to go to Brooklyn, and then we're going to go to the Bronx. So first up, let's focus on Queens. First story from Queens today. Another hate crime reported, and believe it or not, 1010 Wins actually covered it this morning. Okay, so let's read this. This is a sick man in Richmond Hill, and keep in mind, this is the first full day of Ramadan. Okay, this is just disturbing. You know, the Muslim community for the next month is in prayer. They are fasting for a whole month, and this is just sick. This makes me sick to my stomach. So here we go. The assault occurred at 6:45 a.m. on Lefferts Boulevard and 95th Avenue. The victim, Nirmal Singh, was walking to the Sikh Cultural Society temple nearby, and remember, it was the first night of Ramadan. Keep that in mind. A man approached him and punched him in the nose, causing him to fall to the ground. Following the attack, Singh was found roaming around the Gurdwara with blood on his face and jacket. Community leader Janspit Singh told the Queen's Courier. Nirmal suffered a fractured nose, a swollen black eye, and an injured wrist. He was taken to Jamaica Hospital Medical Center but was released without treatment. So, Janspit Singh said, "No one did an x-ray. If you look at his nose, it's either fractured or broken. It's causing him a lot of pain, and I'm hoping this isn't the case, but he may have some internal injuries as well. I'm going to take him back to the hospital to find out why they didn't take an x-ray and take him to a different hospital after that." So, suspect did not make an attempt to commit a robbery. So, there are currently no arrests. The investigation remains ongoing. So it's being reported as a bias crime. So there is someone trying to obtain surveillance video to the Crime Stoppers unit. So I hope the Crime Stoppers are able to find a video at least, because they should. So this is just crazy what's going on. A lot of assaults happening in the same community, according to this person in Richmond Hill. An uncle walking to his house and some kid sucker punched an uncle. A TLC taxi cab driver was waiting in line. Some guy assaulted him, but thankfully police caught him. So, I mean, this is just disturbing. This is just very, very disturbing. And I really hope that the Queens District Attorney, Melinda Katz, gives the suspect the most amount of sentence that she can give, because this is just ridiculous. And in fact, I think Governor Hochul said something about this, if I'm correct. Let's see. I think Governor Hochul did say something. Let's see, because I was checking to see if the COVID numbers were available today, but they have not come out yet. Alright, so here we go. Governor Hochul did issue a statement saying, "My thoughts are with the man who was attacked and our neighbors in the same community. We will find the perpetrator and hold them accountable." So, the State Police Hate Crimes Task Force is going to give the Crime Stoppers unit any help in this case. Because, again, Channel 1 clearly ignored this. Why aren't I surprised? And you know what? I may have to watch their 10 p.m. newscast tonight just to call them out. Because this is just ridiculous. This is just ridiculous. Alright, so let's see if we can get to other news from Queens first. Because, again, I really want to keep this organized today. I really want to keep this organized. I at least have 3 more I got to focus on. In fact, I think there's one in Manhattan we have to get to before we get to the Brooklyn news. Okay, so here we go. Dutch kills. Car robbery. Let's see what happened here. 114th Precinct are looking for a brazen theft who walked onto a Dutch Kills parking lot in broad daylight and allegedly made off with a car last week. And I will mention, on the way home from work, I was listening to former Mayor Rudy Giuliani's radio program on WABC. And I am just disturbed to hear this number that he had mentioned. That when he was the mayor for 2 full terms, he got car robberies down to 98%. You know what the number has become in the first 3 months that Eric Adams has been the mayor? 67%. So if that doesn't get you alarmed, I don't know what's going on, because I've been hearing a lot of police sirens lately in the Fresh Meadows community over the weekend. And I actually did witness a hit and run this weekend. I'm not going to get into it, but, you know, just a lot's going on in Queens. And it wasn't, thankfully nobody was injured, but it was 2 vehicles. Let's just say that. Now let's focus on this here. The suspect was captured on a surveillance camera entering the lot at 41-10 Crescent Street just after 5:30 p.m. last Tuesday, March 29th. He could be seen jumping into a 2017 white Kia and using the keys that were inside the vehicle to start it and drive it away. So, it says here, a 49-year-old parking lot attempted to stop the man by jumping onto the hood of the car, and he was able to hold on for a short distance before falling down to the ground, injuring his leg. The alleged car thief then drove off the lot and made his escape in an unknown direction. EMS responded to the scene, but the victim refused medical attention. The vehicle's license plate is New York State UGD 782 and has an estimated value of $21,000 according to the NYPD 114th Precinct. The suspect is described as a man between the ages of 20 to 30 years of age. He was last seen wearing a hooded winter jacket, black knit hat, dark jeans, and dark sneakers. You can call the Crime Stoppers unit, but I'm going to give you the phone number to the 114th Precinct if you do know the whereabouts of this vehicle. You are encouraged to call them if you know the whereabouts of the white Kia. It is a 2017 model. Their phone number is 718-626-9311. the 114th Precinct would like information regarding this incident that took place back last Tuesday, March 29th. Remember, the license plate, if you do see it, is UGD 782. Again, that's UGD 782. So, hopefully this car is found. I mean, if they don't find the suspect, at least the car should be found. And then thankfully it can be taken over to one of those tow yards in Long Island City or Flushing or something. Because I think Jamaica has a couple of them, if I'm correct. I'm not too sure at the moment. But anyhow, two more we got to get into in Queens today. Where do we even begin with what's going on here? 7 train, assault in Woodside. Here we go. Authorities say the 44-year-old victim was aboard a Manhattan-bound 7 train just before 11 p.m. on Wednesday, March 16th at the 52nd Street station in Woodside, when he was approached by 3 suspects. One of them slugged the strap hanger in its face, and the 3 men made off with his iPhone 13, backpack, and wallet, which contained credit and bank cards. The 3 men ran to another train before exiting to parts unknown. The victim suffered pain and bruising to his face. So, just disturbing. You know, the bottom line is, I agree with Charlton from Passengers United. You know, the bottom line is, you shouldn't be taking out your phone on the subway right now. You really shouldn't, given that property theft on the subway has gone up dramatically in the past 3 to 4 years. Not that many people realize it was a pre-pandemic issue. So, here we go. Look at that. The victim's credit card at a bodega at 95-27th Roosevelt Avenue, 1 o'clock in the morning the same day. Mind you, the same day. The victim's credit card was used to purchase $31.20. Oh boy. I mean, I hope the suspect canceled the credit card. Because once you get robbed, you gotta call the credit card company immediately. The problem is, you know, maybe I should back up my credit card, because that's just not good. Not good at all. One of the suspects was wearing a dark jacket and blue jeans with a dark baseball cap on backward. Another wore a dark hoodie and dark jeans, and the third wore a dark hoodie with blue jeans, according to authorities. So, that's the bottom line. You know, that's just, again, this is what's going on, and Channel 1 just doesn't want to cover it. And then this is our last story in Queens, and here we go again, another assault at a McDonald's in New York City. This time in Queens! So here we go. The 79-year-old victim was standing inside the restaurant at 37-19 Junction Boulevard just before 11 a.m. a week ago, Monday, March 28th. The woman approached and asked if he could spare any change. So, that's very alarming. So, out of the kindness, she snatched all of the cash in hand. I mean, that's disturbing. That's just bad. And the victim tried to stop the woman, but suffered pain. So here we go. EMS responded, but the victim refused medical attention. The panhandler had $80. The NYPD released video surveillance of the suspect calmly leaving the restaurant. She is described as 20 to 30 years old, last seen wearing a blue winter jacket over a dark hoodie with black sweatpants and dark sneakers. So, I mean, they better catch this woman, because, my goodness, second time in a week that we've had an assault at a McDonald's. You know, and I was literally at the one on 6th Avenue. You know, that's the problem. They have to hire security there now. Okay, so let me just make sure we have all the other articles organized from the Bronx first. Okay, we're good. So I was supposed to read this last night, but I forgot to. So here we go. Penn Station attack. So it says here that this assault happened on March 29th. So this happened last Tuesday. 7:05 p.m., 34th Street, Penn Station stop on the 1 line. Law enforcement sources said the suspect approached the 46-year-old man on a staircase, then displayed the machete and struck him in the head with it. The perp then fled the scene in an unknown direction. It says here that the source familiar with the case did not specify whether the attack was random or if the suspect and victim had been involved in an argument prior to the attack. So it says here that Midtown South and Transit District 2 responded to the incident. So it says here that the man was taken to a local hospital, likely Bellevue, for treatment of what was described as a severe laceration. So, second time a machete was reported in Manhattan. Look at this. March 30th, last Wednesday, a 20-year-old man was attacked within the Vatican houses on the Lower East Side. So it says here the suspect is shown scarfing down a slice of pizza near the crime scene. This was not known before or after the attack. He's pictured wearing a black hooded sweatshirt, blue jeans, and white sneakers. So, there you go. I mean, this is what we gotta deal with in Manhattan. And then lastly, this is a very important story in Brooklyn. Homicide reported, and we have a couple homicides we're going to get into in the Bronx. Because, keeping in mind, the Bronx right now is more homicide per capita than any other borough in the city right now. Andrew Cruz was gunned down inside his second-floor residence of the 1100 block of Blake Avenue near Logan Street in Cypress Hills just before 11:30 p.m. on Sunday, April 3rd. Officers from the 75th Precinct responded to a 911 call about a shooting at the location, found Cruz with a bullet wound to his head. Sadly, the victim was taken to Brookdale University Hospital where he was pronounced dead. This morning, police did not have any available details about a possible motive for the shooting or a suspect's description. So far, there have been no arrests. So, there you go. I mean, what else is there to say? What else is there to say? So, I guess we're going to go into the Bronx right now. And we're going to get into a couple of stories. We have a couple of stories that involve robberies, so we're going to get into that at the end of the video. But let's get into this. Homicide in Crotona Park. Third shooting in March for the 42nd Precinct. So let's read this. So it says here, we know about the Claremont Houses shooting. This is what we know about it, excuse me, because I'm just trying to make up the language here. Look at this. 2 months. Okay. Third shooting. Look at this. Manhattan man was killed in the Claremont houses on March 26th, and on the last day of the month, police found John Melville shot and killed at East 169th Street and Washington Avenue. According to police at 7:45 p.m., Thursday, March 31st. Yeah, okay. Police responded to a 911 call of an assault in progress in Melville, 331 East 146th Street. Gunshot wound to the head at 1292 Washington Avenue. The victim was taken to St. Barnabas Hospital where he was pronounced deceased. So, just disturbing. Now, let me read this one. I mean, you cannot make this stuff up. Remember, it's the boogie down Bronx. So, anything can go down. Let me see, and then this happened here. 2 suspects rob a 54-year-old Melrose homeowner at gunpoint. In fact, Channel 7 did cover this. So let's watch the video. This is just disturbing to read. Robbery took place last week on Tuesday, March 29th. A man invited somebody he knew through social media into his home. The police said once the suspect entered the residence in the vicinity of East 165th Street and Caldwell Avenue, they walked downstairs and things got a little crazy. The perp allegedly pulled out a gun. Yes, pulled out a gun. And they called a second man who allegedly entered the premises and joined in on the robbery. They stole his chain, his watch, cell phone, car keys, $300. They fled the scene in a black Mercedes-Benz eastbound on 165th Street. The victim did not require medical attention on the scene. So there you go. And then we're going to read this because this is on AM New York's page for whatever reason. So here we go. Oh, come on. I hate when that happens. So this happened on March 30th, last Wednesday, 10:55 p.m. at Fordham Road on the BE line. Funny enough, that's right by the bus that would take me to the real Little Italy. Go figure that out. Law enforcement sources said the assailant got into a verbal dispute with the victim while she was waiting for a train on the northbound platform. The words turned bloody, police said, when the perp pulled out a knife and slashed the woman across her face. Following the attack, the slasher fled out the Fordham Road station to the street. 46th Precinct was reported to the 46th Precinct was the incident was reported to over there, Transit District 11. So it says here the victim was taken to St. Barnabas Hospital for treatment of her laceration. So it says that the suspect went into a bodega at 221 East 188th Street, about a block east of the Fordham Road station, less than 2 minutes after the attack occurred. He is last seen wearing a green Windsor knit cap, dark green jacket over a black sweater, blue jeans, black and white sneakers. And from what I'm making out, let's just make sure. Let's see if we can get a good look of him. It appears the suspect could be either Latino or Asian. Hard to tell in this grainy image. Can't really make it out, but he definitely looks very, very tall. I have to at least say 6 feet. From what I'm figuring out. Okay, so speaking of robberies, we have 2 more stories that we'll read from the Boogie Down Bronx. An 18-year-old robbed in the Morsania section. So here we go. March 21st, an 18-year-old male was walking in front of 576 East 165th Street in the Morsania section of the Bronx. And remember, you gotta say section in the Bronx because that is the tradition of the Bronx. And trust me, I know 2 locals from the Bronx, and if you don't say it that way, they get offended. When suddenly 3 unknown men approached him around 8:20 a.m. One perp simulated having a firearm and demanded property. The accomplice then allegedly stole his jewelry, multiple chains, Air Jordan sneakers, and a cell phone. The property is valued at $8,970. So, how to attempt my game show voice there. The thieves then fled the scene southbound on Boston Post Road on foot. This is an epic fail. It's supposed to be Boston Post Road. My goodness, these people don't proofread. Schleps Media, what is wrong with you? That's all I'm going to say. Because remember, Boston Post Road goes all the way into Connecticut. You cannot make this stuff up. You just can't. And then lastly, $500 and a cell phone was taken at a Hunters Point Dollar Tree robbery. Planned afternoon of shopping at Dollar Tree turned into something much worse for a 54-year-old man. According to the police, the heist went down on March 8th. The man entered the Dollar Tree at 925 Hunters Point Avenue in the Hunters Point section of the Bronx, after he had just withdrawn money in a nearby bank. Once inside, he was ambushed by 3 men from behind. They allegedly then went through his pockets, pushed him to the ground, and stole $500, a cell phone, a duffel bag with miscellaneous items in it. The thieves then fled the scene, and the victim suffered minor injuries that did not require any medical attention. So, that's it. That's the news that Channel 1 will not cover as usual. And, again, folks, I'm going to urge you right now, please do not have any expensive items out on the subway. You're only going to make it worse for yourself, and you're only going to make the criminals go after you. Alright, don't show anything expensive. They'll easily think of you as an easy victim. Alright, so maybe try to look a little raggedy riding the subway, because I know I try my best to do that. In fact, maybe I should crease my shirt on the subway. Maybe that's what I should do on the bus ride to the subway. Make my shirt look more creased, because then that way the criminals will think that I'm poor, and they're not going to want to steal something from me, because that's a good idea. I don't know, because no one's keeping me off mass transit. Nobody can. As long as New York State's not on pause, and if I have the free time, you can't stop me. Okay, where am I supposed to get a slice of pizza for $1? It's only in Manhattan. And maybe Brooklyn. I don't want to have to go to Brooklyn for a slice of pizza that's $1. I don't want to have to do that. But if it really gets out of hand, I know a few places by J Street Metro Tech where I can go to. Because if Midtown really keeps having these issues, that's where I'm going to have to go in the future. So, with that, I'm going to wrap up this video, and the bottom line is Channel 1 is just ignoring us as usual, and as long as they keep doing this, I'm going to keep calling them out. That's it.